Hello, everyone. I'm Lucas Anderson from the Center for Innovation in Teaching and Learning, and I'm your host for today's Summer of AI session. And I'm going to pretty much get things rolling, introduce our speaker. This event is Useful and Iterative Prompt Engineering, presented by Dan Hahn of Technology Services. This session covers the fundamentals of prompt engineering, a key skill for leveraging AI. Through hands-on practice, you will learn to craft prompts, curate AI output, and further integrate AI into your research, writing, and teaching. So a tiny bit about Dan. I run the TA training, and he has offered a session on Canvas for a long time. And Canvas is great and all, but I would never expect it to be a barn burner of a session. Yet TAs flock to it, and their feedback is like, this is the most amazing thing. So the short version is you probably chose a good session today. So a few things. The recording of this video presentation will be available at a later date. Please subscribe to the Summer of AI newsletter to stay informed about related AI tips. If you have questions during the event and you're in the room, just raise your hand. Dan will find a good time to acknowledge you. If you're online, go ahead and drop your question into the chat. One of the people monitoring the chat will be paying attention and will relay your question to Dan. A thumbs up on the message or question will be used to confirm that your question was received by the host, so you can be confident that we heard you. And of course, if you enjoy the event, there's going to be more to attend. Make sure you learn more about all that by searching the Summer of AI website on the University of Illinois website. But with that, I have stood between you and the magic long enough. So let's all turn our attention to Dan Hahn.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you, Lucas. I hope I don't disappoint. So thank you very much for joining me today. Happy to do this demonstration / workshop. You already introduced me, but let's make this workshop kind of interactive. You're welcome to interrupt me as we go along and discuss whatever I'm talking about. The topic of prompt engineering might seem a little bit dated considering when AI came on the scene, but yeah, we're going to do some hands-on demos, and we're just happy to work with the subject matter today, and we're going to go through it. So I am going to be using Copilot today. So if you have a computer and you want to open up a tab in Copilot, and so you can play along, and I can show you some tricks and things I've found about the interface that actually make prompt engineering kind of useful. So a little bit about myself. Lucas already mentioned I work with Canvas. I have an educational background from here at the U of I. My Master of Library and Information System is from the iSchool here, and that was back in 2011. And I'm completing a Master of Arts in English Composition at Eastern this December. So yeah. So I wanted to start by just getting a general sense of how what people already know about prompt engineering, because my perception is everyone probably knows more than me, but I created this slide here for everyone to participate in. So I don't know if the Zoom moderator can grab that link and paste it in the chat, but you can also scan the QR code and just take this right here. And so I just want to get a sense of what the audience is familiarity with the concept is, so that I have a better sense of how technical I need to get and when to ask for help from you guys, or if you guys are approaching this from a novice standpoint. All right, we got one. Okay, so far it looks like we got about 1/5 of the people that say they know nothing or very little about prompt engineering, which is good. So I'm glad I'm doing this. And then people who understand the kind of, I was afraid it was going to be like 100% I'm pro, and I'm be like, well, what am I doing here? So that's good. Let's take a look at some of the other questions here. Most of the people use ChatGPT. Some people use several different ones. I use a bunch of different ones just to kind of compare. There's this one platform called Poe that lets you use different ones. It's just, I set it up with my personal account, and I just like to try different ones to see if the responses are different, just to kind of see. But looks like 5% use Copilot. and 10% don't use AI often. Wow, that's fascinating. Okay, let's see here.
Why would we use Copilot?
Yeah, so I'm going to get into, so the question is, why would we use Copilot? I'm going to get into a little bit more detail, but your enterprise email account at the U of I gives you data protection. That's one reason to do it. And I'm going to go through some features in Copilot that might help make prompt engineering easier, especially if you're coming at it from a novice perspective. So yeah, we got 43% daily users. That's kind of me. I use it pretty much every day. I have I think Copilot and Poe installed on my phone, and sometimes if I have a quick question or I just want to become conversant on a topic and just get the gist of something really quick, I'll just type it into my little AI assistant. Got 33% several times a week. 8% never. That's cool. I wonder if I can click on this several times a month. Cool. All right. And let's see here. All right, good. That's interesting. So thank you for participating in that. Now let's go ahead. So here's my workshop agenda for today. So this is a beginner's level hands-on demonstration of prompt engineering using Copilot. Put the URL copilot.microsoft.com and you want to sign in with your university credentials when you get there. So what we're going to do is we're going to define prompt engineering. We're going to cover the basics of prompt engineering. Copilot has a lot of neat features built in that make prompt engineering easy. We talk a little bit about prompt engineering from a research perspective. Then we're going to pivot to prompt engineering from a teaching, writing, and assessment perspective and talk about how we can approach those assessments from using our knowledge of prompt engineering to make better assessments. And then we're just going to wrap up and wrap up Q&A is at the end here. But like I said earlier, if you participate during the session, that's most welcome. I actually appreciate the interaction and the ability to understand like what your questions are on the fly and to get some feedback on the fly too. So to Jamie's question earlier, we use Copilot because of this enterprise data protection. And I put this slide in here, not because I'm going to spend a lot of time here, but just because if you get a copy of the slides and you want to read more about what enterprise data protection really means, there's a link provided here. So it's just to keep everything private to ensure that none of the data that you're using when you log in is being used to train the models, right? So that information is there if you want to dig in. So prompt engineering is the process of writing, refining, and optimizing inputs. And I put this little asterisk for refining as through iteration. So a lot of times you're not going to get the best output if you just put the first sentence in and you just accept it. Back when AI first came out, people were talking a lot about these hallucinations, getting facts that weren't quite accurate, so that you want to iterate and ask follow-up questions. Right? So here's an example of two prompts, basically asking the same thing. So the first one is apple pie recipe. If you were to go to Copilot and type in apple pie recipe, you will get a passable apple pie recipe. But the second one is generate a traditional American rustic apple pie recipe that avoids using Granny Smith apples. Use only pantry staple ingredients. Present the recipe in a table format with columns for ingredients, quantity, and purpose. After the table includes step-by-step baking instructions. So we know that option number 2 is prompt engineered, right? Like there's a methodology to what happened here. And when I started putting materials together, I wondered, like, what's that methodology? How do we get from 1 to 2? Like, what's the difference? Well, so I did some, Googling around as one does, and I found Google's 5-step framework for LLM prompting to be the one I found easiest to maybe teach in a format like this. If you do a search for framework for LLM prompting or prompt engineering framework, you're going to get a bunch of different things that come up. But I liked Google's. It was easy. I put a link down here that covers this. Google has a 9-hour course apparently that teaches prompt engineering. This YouTube video breaks down that whole course into 20 minutes. So I watched it and I was like, oh, okay, I kind of get it. But basically what they have is this TCREI framework: task, context, reference, evaluate, iterate. And they have this mnemonic: thoughtfully create really excellent inputs. Now, I don't think people are actually using this mnemonic the way that they think they are, but just for instructive purposes, and if you're coming to this as like a complete beginner, I think this is helpful. So step 1 is like task, role, and format. So that's like when you can say like apple pie recipe, right? But if you want the LLM to take on a role, you can say, you know, give me an apple pie recipe as if you were Paula Deen or something like that. So that role aspect is really important. And the format is also part of the task, which is like, do you want a table? Do you want bulleted lists? Do you want a paragraph? So that's all in the task in number one part of this LLM prompting framework. The context is like, well, what do I want as the user? What is the context? Well, maybe I don't like Granny Smith apples, or maybe I'm vegan and paleo and I don't want to use any of those ingredients. So giving that extra context actually helps create a better prompt. References, kind of similar to the role, but you might want to refer to a recipe that already exists out there, or like a style of apple pie, like I like, rustic, or, oh, the Betty Crocker or something like that. Large language models are actually really good with references. That's why when it first came out, people were writing silly little notes in style of Shakespeare or whatever. That's because LLMs do a really good job at working with other works and then mimicking them. 4 and 5, kind of the same thing. Evaluate, you just kind of want to look at it and say, is this what I want? Yes or no? Which can kind of be a can of worms, because it could be hallucinating something, and if it looks like something that you want, you're just going to accept it as fact. One of the tricky things about large language models is they present as authoritative. If you're coming at a topic from a novice perspective, and you just, well, this sounds really like this person, like this LLM looks like it knows what it's talking about, you evaluate it and you just accept it as fact when it could be a hallucination. So I would just remember that as you're evaluating the output of large language models. And then 5 is iterate, which is what we're kind of talking about here. So like you would ask follow-up questions and change things based on the output. So I've covered kind of a lot in the first couple of slides. Are there any questions so far? Nothing? Okay. All right, so let's do, I think next we're going to do some hands-on demos here. So one of the neat tools that I think is great with especially the enterprise version of Microsoft Copilot, it has this thing called Copilot Pages, which is like an editable interface that lets you edit the output in Iterate. So let's go ahead and and it's like I said, it's only available for your school and work account. So if it's a regular public account, you don't have that feature. So it's part of what our subscription is with the university. So I recommend using it. So yeah, I'm going to switch over to my Copilot chat here. And you can, at this point, if you're doing the hands-on portion, you can type in something that you want. You'll notice that Copilot actually gives you some prompts right out of the gate that you can kind of click on and just play around with. So yeah, do the apple pie recipe or do something else. You can click here and see what other prompts are here. I'm just going to find one that looks good here and to use as an example. Here's a good one. What are 5 to 6 ways to beat procrastination? So I'll go ahead and click on that one and then submit it. Okay, so with this one, let's see. So if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the prompt, you'll see that there's all this information down here that you click on. If you click on the Edit in Pages button here and click Edit in Pages, you have an interface where you can edit the output, which makes this iteration a lot easier. So if you liked this, right? If you liked your apple pie recipe, you could change it a little bit here if you wanted to. You could take to the prompt, copy it, or like just edit in here. So you like, what are 5 to 6 ways to beat procrastination? You could add some stuff in there, copy it and paste it back over here in the prompt. Another neat thing you can do is you can like change things around by dragging and dropping. So like you can drag and drop blocks and stuff. Kind of neat. And what I think is actually the coolest part about this interface is it actually integrates with your Microsoft Word. So if like you found yourself really like, you found a really good recipe or something you want to use later, you can just, if you click here, it'll go to your OneDrive and you can edit it further in Microsoft Word. So it's a really nice integrated experience. Go ahead, Jamie.
Okay, so we're getting some questions here.
Yeah.
I think, so it looks to me like you're in Copilot 365 and the rest of us are in a reduced version
Uh-huh.
that doesn't have Word and maybe doesn't have pages, or at least I couldn't find it immediately.
Really?
Yeah. So the average people.
Hmm.
Probably because you're part of tech services, you have access to this, and I was on the pilot, but yeah, so we're not seeing that.
Okay.
I got it and I never used it.
Right,
I just-
were you seeing pages and stuff?
Yeah, I signed in with my Illinois SSO.
So did I, okay, so who knows?
Okay.
So, yeah, there's a variety. Sorry, how did we get to this different view of Copilot? Is this Copilot an app that you have on university computer, or is it a web interface, or what? I have the same access as him, so I think it's all over the board.
I think they're asking if this is the web interface or the app.
This is the web interface, yeah. So I'm just logged in through the web browser. One thing that you might want to check for, let's see here. That's good feedback. I thought everyone had it.
Yeah.
It was my understanding that it's available for all schools.
I mean, everybody has it, but not where
Yeah.
it's plugged into 360.
Do you have the green check mark up in the upper right hand corner?
I personally don't. Oh, yes, yep, yes,
Oh, you
we
do?
have data protection.
Okay, that's fascinating. Yeah, I'll have to look into that and maybe provide a follow-up. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I thought everyone everyone had that. All right, so we won't focus too much on that part of the demonstration then. So are any of these, Jamie, are any of these buttons available, like the copy response or
So not where I am right this second.
Yes, for me, all of them are. And I know that, in the same, I'm using the same version as you are, Jane.
Okay,
okay. All right, let's see what
Sorry, edited pages, yes.
oh, okay.
It's in a different, they're in a different order than they are in your version, but in your version. But
it's a different order. All right, let me ask you if this feature is there then. There's another feature that is kind of related to prompt engineering, is if you go to the top right and go to the three dots icon and you go to settings. Is there do you see a custom instructions? Yeah, so this is another kind of prompt engineering field. It's what it says is like, feel free to include details about your interest, preference, or goals, or any specific context. So it's like, if you wanted Copilot, for example, to maintain like a professional tone, you would put that in here. So it's kind of a way to customize your Copilot assistant on a higher level so that you don't have to type it in every time. So if you always want Copilot to summarize everything concisely and clearly, you can just do summaries concisely and clearly, or maintain a professional tone, etc. So it's a really neat feature that I just found yesterday as I was looking at the interface. So I would suggest playing around with it and seeing if it's useful. But yeah, again, that's in the three dots menu under settings. All right, let me close that. And so Copilot pages, prompt engineering here, where were we? Okay. So you guys, some people do, some people don't. That's good to know. I'll have to research that. Let me ask you if you have this prompt, if this other thing. So there's this thing in Copilot called Copilot Studio, and I think maybe it'll be the same situation with pages, but let's just check and see it. Do you guys have this sidebar over here?
something, for me, it's on the right side, but yes, I have it.
Okay. I'm gonna uninstall this one because I was gonna use it as a demo. So if you see over here, do you have Explore Agents?
So this is incredibly fascinating because I gave a workshop on Copilot just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I had that feature. I logged in just now and it's not there.
Well, we're learning something new. So I'll just show you what I was going to show you, and if you guys just want to watch, and maybe tomorrow it'll be different, or for the recording, someone come back and watch it. If someone watches it at a later date, maybe it'll magically be there. All right, so one of the things that's useful for prompt engineering is this. If you go to, I'm over here on the left, maybe I can make this a little bigger. So there's this Explore Agents, and these are these are custom GPTs. And there's actually going to be a workshop on custom GPTs next week, but they're just basically AI chatbots that serve a specific purpose. And the prompt coach can really help you especially if you're new to prompt engineering and you want help building prompts. The prompt coach can be really helpful for that. So we're going to try the apple pie recipe prompt again, and we'll just go through how it helps make a prompt so you guys can just see how that looks. If you don't have it now, maybe we'll figure out how we can get it to you later. So I'm just going to go apple pie recipe. Yeah, please turn item 1 into a prompt, and I'm just kind of winging it right now. Now it's going to ask me kind of those, if you remember that framework I showed before, it's asking me a bunch of questions and what's your goal, what's the context, the source, what are my expectations, and then I can go ahead and fill all this out. And then what it's going to do, it's going to output a nice prompt that we could use. So all right, let's see, let's go gluten-free. We'll do the pantry staples again. Let's see, pantry staples. Source. Yeah, from the Food Network. How would I like it formatted? I would formatted in a table. And let's just see what it comes up with here. So you'll notice that the output isn't actually the output that we asked for. It's not the actual recipe, right? It's a prompt. So basically what you do is you copy and you paste this back into Copilot, and that'll give you the output that you want. So it's just a way to actually craft the prompts that you're trying to craft. And then you would take this and let's just copy it, right? And whenever you're in Copilot and you just want to start a new chat, you just hit this little start new chat button in the top right, and it'll just take you to, this one's taking me back to the prompt coach, but I just want to go back to the regular, let's see here, I'm just going to click here then maybe, yeah, there we go. And we'll just paste it in and see what happens. Okay, so it's making me my gluten-free adaptation. It's putting it in a table and so forth. So there you have it. So yeah, I realize that not everyone has the same features as I do, but are there any questions about the process of getting, developing the prompt, using the prompt coach? The prompt coach is what's called a custom agent in Copilot, but they're also called custom GPTs. So if this is something you're interested in learning more about, I would check out there's a workshop next week on there.
Oh. Why do we need custom GPTs? Why would we use that?
Yeah, so they're generally used for specific purposes, right? So I mean, I think that's a really valid, almost even philosophical question, right? Like why, if you know how to prompt engineer on your own, you wouldn't need a prompt coach, right? If you have a good grasp of it. I used one in this example just as a way to show that, oh, this is a specialized use case. So perhaps you have a really specialized use case that you're looking to fulfill. Like one example that comes to mind is I was having a conversation last week with someone who created a custom GPT to help him write. I don't know if it was like a sci-fi novel or like a sci-fi stories, but he gave it specific instructions on all the characters and how he wanted it to behave. So if you had a very kind of specific use case, you could, using natural language, tell it how you want to behave in certain contexts, and it will behave that way. Right now, if you were to just go to Copilot, it's just a general chat assistant that can pretty much help you with everything. But you have to prompt engineer everything. So if you didn't want to prompt engineer all this other stuff before, like every time you went there, you wanted to put, like, it's pretty much the same thing as what I showed you before. When we go to like this, we go to settings and custom instructions, you put the custom instruction, it's like a custom GPT is just a chatbot that has custom instructions. So you just give it custom instructions, so you don't have to type it in every time. So that's why you would use it. Hopefully that's a good answer.
Yeah, and to me, sometimes it's if you have a repeatable thing, like, hey, so we had one for justifying our travel.
Oh,
And
right.
so it's like enter the URL of the event when you're going, and then it came up, it looked at the website and came back with a little thing.
Mhm.
So maybe some repeatable tasks too is a good place to.
Yeah, if you constantly are referencing the same document or research even, yeah. Prashant?
Thanks, this is for everyone who's been struggling with this. I logged out and logged back into Copilot, and now I have access to agentic Copilot features. I don't know why and how, but just logging out and logging back and turned that feature on.
I mean, this is just really a teachable moment, I guess, for me and all of us. Yeah, so I guess when you don't see the Copilot features there, maybe try logging out and logging back in and seeing if that works. Appreciate that. What's going on, Jamie?
Yep, we got a question from the audience. Dan Rodowig says, I have a large number of meeting notes and company profiles in OneNote. Can I use the Copilot prompt to have it cull through all my OneNote pages to return output from those notes?
That's a really interesting question. I was sort of going to get to that in a couple slides down, but if you notice on the add content button down here, if you hit the plus sign, you can attach cloud files. I'm not sure if that includes OneNote files, though. I would check there, though, just to get started.
Yeah, and I was just gonna add, you can get the version that Dan is showing us from the web store. I don't know how much it is, and it automatically connects to OneDrive and would be a part of OneNote, which would probably, I'm using air quotes, guarantee that you could do your OneNote thing.
Yeah, there is like there's a next tier like subscription service that you can purchase with Copilot that gives you a more deeper integration with all your 365 apps, like Teams. It'll take you Teams meeting notes and stuff like that. I generally fly without that stuff just because, unless my employer is paying for it, I'm not going to use it. But I mean, some people would get a significant productivity boost from those types of integrations. So yeah, check the web store. I don't know if someone can provide that link, but check the web store and try this searching for attaching cloud files and see what you can come up with. All right. Any other questions? We're doing on time. We're about halfway. We can do this. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, prompt engineering and research. So yeah, kind of along the same lines, we kind of started down this path. So yeah, Copilot has the ability to read text, summarize, and reference stuff we've already talked about. Kind of about also the custom GPT workshop that I mentioned. It's next, it's on July 30th at 1 p.m. Check that out. The Illinois chat service is chat.illinois.edu. That's our local homegrown system where you can train your own chat assistant to behave how you want. You can actually ingest or upload whatever documents you want to it as well. So while prompt engineering really isn't, you would not go to Copilot to do rigorous research, right? You wouldn't say, I want to do research on global warming and then use Copilot as the main source, right? You would, I have my library and information background, and to me, when you want to do serious research, you go to the library. However, once you're at the library and you get your documents, you download some peer review articles, then I think you're ready to do research with AI. You want to upload those to Copilot, ask questions about the documents that you get. You can also use Illinois Chat to do that type of thing. I also put a bullet on here for Google Gemini and Notebook LM, just because I'm seeing a lot of chatter online. It seems to be very trendy because it has like a feature where you can upload a document and then it has it'll create a podcast interview of the document, which is kind of a prompt engineer in itself. And in a way, it's taking a document and saying have a two podcast hosts discuss the topics of this article or whatever. I imagine that it's something that your students know about as well. So I just wanted to kind of put it on your radar. So this is really my only slide about Copilot in research. So I'm going to move on unless there are any questions about it.
Okay. Suggestions on best practices to run questions on a massive set of PDF files. I have the prompt working, but there are lots of folders full over multiple years.
There's a new feature that that with Illinois Chat that I just learned about when I was attending a session here. There's I think it's called smart folders or something, but you can categorize like related content, right? And then ask questions based on the folders. So it could be useful if you're doing like a unit in a school or like in a semester where you're covering a certain topic. You would just specify that folder and then ask questions on it. So I would check out Illinois Chat for that. Does anyone else have any suggestions? I'm not by no means a lead researcher using AI, but that's one place where I'd start looking.
Document groups, by the way.
Document groups.
In Illinois Chat.
Yeah, it's called, thanks, Prashemik. Yeah, it's called document groups in Illinois Chat. So check out that chat.illinois.edu, spin up, log in with your credentials and try, check out document groups. All right, so let's move on to the final topic for this morning, prompt engineering scenarios for teaching, writing, and assessing. So, okay, so I think if you understand prompt engineering, I think it could be used as a shortcut for a lot of the work that you do that might be time consuming, especially from a perspective of an educator. And so I use one prompt here that I came up with the other day where it says use CITL's Inclusive Teaching Practices website, and then I provide a link to help me write an inclusivity statement for my syllabus. So is there anyone using LLMs or prompt engineering for writing course documents or perhaps even lesson plans? I'm going to go ahead and while you guys thinking about that, typing that in, I'm going to go ahead and put this in Copilot and we'll see what it comes up with.
He's teaching learning is.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think it could be a huge shortcut there. I was taking a course in my master's program a little bit after ChatGPT came out and AI, and a lot of it was developing lesson plans. And I don't think the teacher realized, but it is I would never use their lesson plans out of the box, but they really quickly make like a nice template for a lesson plan. So I if you haven't tried it yet and you need to make lesson plans, I highly recommend using Copilot or something else for your lesson plans just to save time. All right. Is there anyone have any questions at this point, or can we move on? Okay. Okay, I want to do another demonstration here. So I want to transition to the topic of AI chatbots as like a writing coach for students to use or even for you. But one thing that I just discovered AI is really good at is detecting the genre of various writing. So if you were just to take away prompting altogether and just to take text from anywhere and paste it into Copilot, in the first sentence or two, it will identify the genre that you're writing in, which I think is totally fascinating. So if you want, you can, if you have a computer and you're playing along, you can try this too. But I'm just going to go to like Zillow. And I'm just gonna get some text and paste it into Copilot, and I bet you it'll identify it within the first sentence or two without any prompting. So I'm just gonna grab, I usually like to grab like an expensive one, but I'll just get this one. I was like going for like 1.5 million or something, but you know, yeah, this is nothing, right? All right, so I'm just gonna grab this chunk of text here, and I'm gonna copy it, and I'm gonna paste it into Copilot, and we'll see what it comes up with. Thanks for sharing this property description. So it was able to, it identifies, if you were to go to like, another one that you can do is you can go to like McSweeney's, which is a satire website, and just copy one of the articles and paste it. It'll be like, this is hilarious satire. So it's really good at genre. And you might be thinking like, oh, why is this important? Well, folks at the Writers Workshop will be the first to tell you that academic English is no one's first language. It's everyone's second language. But if you're new to like writing in the academic genre, or if there are genres specific to your discipline, you can pretty easily train an AI chatbot the conventions of those genres and use it as kind of a teaching tool. I did put a link to the Writers Workshop in here because I think that should be everyone's first stop for help with learning how to write. However, if you are a little bit more advanced or a grad student or a professor and you're just, need an extra set of eyes for your documents that you're about to publish, I think using chatbots or as like a writing coach or someone to help you with writing is a smart use of the prompt engineering concepts we've been talking about. So questions?
Yeah, Pegromeyer has a question here. Do you need to start a new chat with a new topic, or does it matter?
That's a good question. In my demonstrations, I have not been doing that. Let me show you something that I find really useful about. I think it's best practice to actually start a new chat, because if you go over here to the left-hand side, and some people are saying this is on the right-hand side, so bear with me. But if you look wherever you have this, if you go to conversations, this might be expanded or collapsed for you, but it keeps track of all your past conversations. So when we talk about that concept of iteration and you want to come back to a conversation you had previously, you're going to use this to iterate further. And I probably should have mentioned that sooner. So I think as a best practice, yeah, you probably want to start a new chat instead of just dumping it into one chat the way that I'm doing now. That's a good question.
Yeah, and I would just say, this is Jamie Nelson, but I would just add that, yeah, if I want to start something new and not have the baggage from a previous chat, because it'll look at your chat and steer you down that direction. If you want to, okay, ignore that, I'm ready to move on. So it's just reiterating what you're saying, Dan. It just depends. But if you want to keep that same logic, then you use the same chat. But if it's completely different, switch.
Yeah, and it looks like you could even click on the title of it, and I think, what does that bring you back? Yeah, so it's like apple pie recipe, and click on it, and it takes you back to certain levels. So yeah, yep, okay, cool. All right, let's talk a little bit more about assessment in the classroom with prompt. Now that we know a little bit more about prompt engineering, one assignment to be really careful of is the annotated bibliography. I'm just going to read this, and I pulled this from this link at the bottom here, but it says, please give me an annotated bibliography on the pros and cons of traffic calming measures on college campuses. I would like 4 high-quality sources cited in an APA format and 5 sentences explaining the argument of each source and how it contributes to potential research topic. So using prompt engineering, annotated bibliographies have kind of become kind of obsolete, right? Because you don't think students are actually going to go to the library and actually do that work when they can type it in a matter of minutes, right? It's pretty easy to prompt engineer it. I've read a couple of different articles that talk about alternatives that you can do. I would check this link out. They have like this whole explanation on how you could do something similar. I heard that Prezi is actually really good for annotated bibliographies, just because the text editor is so finite. You have to like switch from slide to slide to slide, and then you can arrange things in a kind of visual format and how they relate to each other. So I would look at Prezi as a potential alternative. Does anyone have any other suggestions or besides the annotated bibliography? I'd love to hear them, because it's one of those ones that's kind of been a hallmark of the academic institutions that's kind of been made obsolete because of AI. Another one is reading responses. So, discussion board prompts can easily be prompt engineered, but I thought, throughout the year, I work mostly with Canvas, but Canvas has an annotation assignment that could be used as an alternative. And I'm happy to do a demo if you guys want to see it, but basically you just set up a regular assignment, you upload a PDF, and students have to annotate it and mark it up to show that they read it. So that could be an alternative. So
And I'm just sharing what
Yeah.
Amber Dunce is saying here. Yeah, well, we removed the annotated bibliography from our course, major assignment. We are doing research proposal instead. And then we have another question. David asked, do you get much hallucination with the bibliography?
in my experience, especially recently, I think it does a pretty good job. Yeah, and I don't know. I think when I was assigned an annotated bibliography, and this was soon after AI came out, like I think it would be doing yourself a disservice to not use AI, right? Because you can do a ton of research really quickly. You could take articles, upload them really quickly using AI, ask questions against it. Why would you can cast a wider net using AI is my kind of argument. So yeah, you might get some hallucinations, but I think if you use it right, go to the library, get those academic sources, upload them to Copilot, ask some questions about it, and then decide, oh, this is actually an article I want to read. Then you can take that deeper dive. So that's how I use it. I think other people, I think it would be smart to use it, especially if you're doing like researching a broad subject. So anybody want to see a Canvas demo on the annotation assignment, or should we skip that? Happy to. I don't know if everyone here uses Canvas, so I don't want to waste anyone's time. We can circle back to that if someone changes their mind. But yeah, finally, talk to your students about this. I think that's one of the big lessons to take away from this. Now that you know a little bit more about prompt engineering and you're starting to understand how it can be used to achieve your just goals, understand that students probably already know a lot about prompt engineering as well. So talk to your students about it as well. And this next slide I have is a good reason why. So this slide is from EDUCAUSE's 2025 Students in Technology Report. It just says that students are more likely to lie about their AI use if you don't use it yourself or if you don't show an awareness of it. So students are far more likely to report when they use it if you kind of incorporate it into your teaching practices, or just at least acknowledge it and talk to them about it. So I put a link to the 2025 Students in Technology report from EDUCAUSE, and there's a nice big section on student AI use in there. So I thought that would fit in nicely here on this topic. Okay, so we're getting close to the end. Generally speaking, if you're going to advise, like my advice for students, and we've talked mostly about prompt engineering here, and this really sort of related to prompt engineering, but my advice to students would still be to write and think first on their own and not accept the first output. See, the thing is with the difference between faculty use of AI and student use of AI is that faculty are experts in their field, and AI has a tendency to present as authoritative. So a faculty's interaction with a large language model is going to be very different than with students. So if you are advising your students on their use of it and acknowledging it, just mention to them, write and think first on your own and don't accept the first output. Always iterate. And I think there's tremendous potential in AI's ability to understand genre and natural language and give role-based feedback. So you can always tell, if you have a close to a finished draft, you can tell AI to look at it, to read your draft as from the perspective of an authority figure or a critic, to see if there's any blind spots that you missed. But again, not accepting that first output that they give you, because it's easy to it's easy to believe everything AI says because they do present as authoritative. So So, all right, just a couple of resources I wanted to close with. The Digital Learning Lab at UC Irvine is doing a lot with AI writing and pedagogy. This is more in my academic interests. I put a link in here if you're interested in like how to incorporate more AI frameworks into your, teaching and learning methodology. And then this AI and how we teach writing Substack is also very good. That's where I got the information about the annotated bibliographies. Dr. Annette V publishes regularly on Substack about various topics related to AI use in the classroom, how to leverage it, and what to do, best practices, and so forth. So another good one. So that brings me to the end of my session. We still got 15 minutes. Other questions?
We got a big one, kind of.
All right.
So Benjamin Clegg says,
Yeah.
NIH just came out, that it will flag, that it will flag any detection of AI generated grant applications as non-novel and will report a violation of academic ethical conduct to the university, and flag to ban future grant submissions from PI. Which is no small thing. Anyway, how do we guide students and enforce proper context of AI use as the standards continue to evolve and penalties are severe?
I mean, you can do a whole session on that. The NIH is doing that, the National Institute for Health. Yeah. Well, I will say, well, okay, so here at the university, I can just talk about like what I've seen in my own role. And I know that, we have this Turnitin plagiarism detection software that has been used to detect plagiarism for years and years. Continued to use it for a long time. We used to have back in the day something called SafeSign. But yeah, so Turnitin had a AI detection software integrated into its interface at the time. And we as a university decided not to maintain that subscription because of false negatives. I think it's an important conversation to have on whether, whether writing that is co-written by AI is valid or invalid, right? If I write something with AI that's actually good, I mean, what, like, do the gatekeepers actually reserve the right to say, well, you didn't write all this yourself, but it's like, no, I satisfied the criteria of if the criteria of the application is don't use AI, then I don't use AI, right? But I mean, if you're going to use AI and you're going to use it to meet the criteria and you're learning along the way, I think there's a unique and I think there's a pretty important conversation to be have around the validity of the work that humans can do in tandem with AI. But yeah, I can't give a definitive answer to that. Tough one. Does anyone else have thoughts on that one? I mean, I'm here to learn just as much as I am to share what I know. Let me put, if you want my slides, it's at go.illinois.edu/ my last name, Hahn AI workshop. You can scan the QR code. And then finally here is the survey. So I'll look forward to hearing what you guys thought of this. It's my first time giving this workshop, so I'd love to hear what you thought. Sorry about the pages thing. I thought everyone had it. I think maybe everyone does. I'll have to research that and maybe follow up with Jamie and the folks here so they can update. What's going on over there, Jamie?
Oh, Andrew, can you put in the link to his slides in the chat?
Okay,
Thank
well,
you. And then the one that I was gonna ask here, and do you know how sure I can be if I upload, say, 5 documents and ask questions about them, that Copilot is only using those documents? Not trying to, I assume, not trying to go out to the internet.
Yeah, that's a good. I know. I don't know of anything in Copilot that can do that, but I know that the Illinois chat service can do that. So check Illinois chat. There is a option where it will stay within the corpus of documents that you gave it. Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna try to get the link to the videos, throw it in chat, but in the future, it will be on our Summer of AI website, but give me a second.
I'm seeing the chat bubble keep on popping up, so I imagine people are talking about stuff.
Yeah, it's more kind of accessing materials. and
Okay,
stuff right
good.
this second, I think.
Well, hopefully this was useful for everyone. Yeah. I appreciate the discussion.
Yeah. We created a short, why don't you throw the short link to the videos?
It's covered that. Slash Summer of AI recordings.
I'm gonna pull up the participant list. Just want to see who's all in here.
Okay. Make sure.
All right, if there's no other questions, farewell, everyone. Thank you for your participation. I had fun doing this.
Good.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone at CITL who's running the Summer of AI. They're complete pros and they deserve a round of applause as well.